Yeah, that's a bit of wishful thinking. But yeah, so basically, if you're looking at GameStop, they're basically, their big thing is, their big business model is essentially
A pawn shop
it's a
for
pawn
games.
shop. It's a pawn shop. Like you go into GameStop with a game, right? And they'll charge you some ridiculously low price for that game. Unless it's a Nintendo game. Nintendo games are valued a little bit higher, like you know, but you're still not going to get your full market retail. You're not going to get what you think you're owed for what
Yeah,
you spent on it. Okay, you're not going to
I
get close
already
to
know
your.
that I'm not getting. I know I'm not getting $60 for my game.
No,
I
obviously,
hopefully I usually I usually only hope for at least close to 50%.
yeah, but I mean, with a Nintendo game, you might get close to 50%, but even then, it's still not going to be um, what you might think. So my point behind all this is to say this. Um, Essentially speaking, like even like despite all the stuff we've seen, GameStop is essentially going to fall apart. How's it going, Kirby Lover,
Hey,
aka Mario Poker Nerd?
hey. I wasn't sure if you guys saw my icon, but
No, we saw it. I was just waiting for a pause in the conversation to introduce you because I didn't want to stop the train of thought and then introduce you
I
because that would have been
understand.
awkward.
That would kill the conversation.
The vibe, if you will, man. But I'm just saying, like GameStop is. I mean, like even okay, like right now, what you're saying with the people who were basically preventing a big short situation, financial situation, that is not going to save GameStop because the underlying business model of GameStop is trash. I mean, it's trash. So, if the underlying, it's kind of like this, right? I don't care how much you like. If you have a turd and then you take a bottle of perfume and you pour it over that turd,
Yeah.
even though that perfume might cover up the smell of that turd, it's still a turd. And that's the
Can't polish a
problem.
turd.
Yeah, you can't, no matter how much you polish it or cover up that smell, it's still a piece of dookie.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't seem to understand about GameStop. They're like, well, GameStop. And when I hear people say GameStop has never been a good company. All right, the companies that GameStop bought were good, like EB Games. EB Games was good. EB Games was a store where if you worked at EB Games, you were mid to upper level management. You could actually live off of your salary.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that the pieces of GameStop that they took in were pretty good. I mean, even I mean, they even got hobby shop stuff in there, which kind of bites me because that means that some of them would be hosting D&D campaigns.
Now that's the desperation of GameStop. But basically, like GameStop, essentially speaking, their big thing is that right now their big thing right now is that GameStop has essentially been like flailing around trying to change their business model. But the problem is that the changes, in order for GameStop to survive, they should have been making changes to their business model like 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like you can't like a company the size of GameStop, you can't make the changes they need to make in just 1 or 2 years. This is you needed at least a 5-year plan to fix this.
Yeah. So, what have they been doing that was bad? I mean, I've heard a few things, and one thing that annoys me most about GameStop is when they push the whole pro membership.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's part of their business plan. Like GameStop's
Yeah,
business plan
they
was initially before they entered the circle of life. GameStop made their money by basically being a glorified pawn shop. So you would go in there and sell your used games. People would go in there and say, let's say I want the new. I'm not going to use the Madden example because, frankly speaking, it's been played to death. But let's use a different example. Let's say this is several years ago, and I want Mass Effect 2. Okay, I want Mass Effect 2, but I don't have the money. I'm a college student. I'm broke. I don't have the money to get Mass Effect 2 for the PS3. So I would go and I would get like 4 or 5 games that I've played the hell out of and I no longer want to play, and I would take them to GameStop, put them in their case, and trade them in, okay? And GameStop would say, okay, these games are worth, they would price them out, right? And they would say, let's say 2 of those games were, let's say one of them was Darksiders, the first Darksiders, maybe another one was a God of War collection, maybe another one was a Final Fantasy game, and the other one was, I don't know.
Hello?
How's it going, Kenoshi?
Hey, what's going on?
It's going. We're talking about how GameStop is fundamentally screwed, even if, and they're just basically playing for time. They're delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, so GameStop. It's what GameStop's been doing for the past few years.
Yeah, at least for the last 4 or 5 years, they've just been delaying the inevitable because GameStop's business model is fundamentally screwed. Like I said, like when GameStop first got into business, they were a glorified pawn shop for games. Like you go in, you trade in your games to buy something new. And I was using an example of, let's say I wanted Mass Effect 2 brand new, but I didn't have the full $60. So I would go and trade in 4 of my games, maybe get $44, $45 for 4 games I traded in. For that one game, pay 15 or 14 bucks for plus tax, so like 16, 17 bucks. And then I would be like, okay, I'm going to go play this. And that's how GameStop made their money. And then they would take those 4 games that I traded in, where they literally, if I was lucky, gave me between 25 to 35% of their value in trade-in, and then they would upsell it to like 40, 50 bucks and make their money that way. So they basically turned a $45 expense. Let's say each of those games got priced up to $50. They turned a $45 expense into a $200 revenue boost. And then, minus the $45 they spent, they made $155 on a $45 expense. That's actually a pretty decent business model. The problem is that, like, more and more gamers are buying shit digitally, and you can't trade in digital stuff.
No, at least not yet. Until somebody figures out a business model.
You can't trade in digital stuff. And to be honest with you, I'm okay with that. Because I do think that I don't think you're ever going to be able to trade in digital stuff. What I do think is that maybe in the future they will probably do a thing where if you buy a game digitally, you'll be able to generate a demo code that you can share with people where they can play the game for maybe 30 or 40 minutes, maybe an hour, to get a feel for it. But you can only generate so many demo codes for a game. And that's like the most optimistic view I can give for it. Okay? Because the fact of the matter is, whether, physical media people like it or not, video game companies are seeing more and more revenue generated with digital stuff. Just the way it is, that's reality. So for companies that are built around physical media like GameStop, they are not having a good time. Okay? This was inevitable. This was the way the market was going. And personally, I would rather have just digital media becoming a more convenient thing with digital sales and stuff like that than what the shit like GameStop and EA, Microsoft and EA were trying to do. Remember EA, where if you bought a used game, if you wanted to play the online portion of the game, you had to pay extra money to get the online code to play the game online?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I'm sorry. You brought back some bad memories.
Oh yeah. I bought quite a few EA games because people like to talk shit about EA. And while EA proper is a trash publisher, they are sitting on some studios that used to put out some damn good games. So
Sony did that too with Sony did that too with Uncharted 3. If you bought it used, you had to pay an extra fee to play online.
Yeah. Although, why the fuck would you want to play an Uncharted game online? I'll never understand. But I mean, you get what I'm saying. It's like, okay, this is some foul stuff, and that's basically what we've been dealing with digital stuff. So I mean, I know people get upset when they hear this, but I would rather have digital as it is right now, going in the direction it is now, where you have like cloud gaming, where you pay like a subscription fee and you get access to hundreds of games, or just you go on Steam or a digital storefront and you can just buy the stuff. I would rather have that than what we have, what Microsoft and EA wanted to do, which was basically charge people for buying used games. I'm not cool with that. But that's my own personal opinion. So with that being said, before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves. With the lady going first, so go ahead, introduce yourself, lady.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, to the BS Busters Annual Podcast for February 6th. I'm Jory Eli Moonstar, and if you're expecting anything big from us, today's a free for all, so enjoy yourself.
That's right, it's free topic. This is free. If this was Friday, I would call it Free Topic Friday, but it is not Friday. It's Saturday. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I will be approximately 35 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm an old man. Not
I remember
really.
when you were 29.
What?
I remember when you were 29.
Yeah. Only 6 years ago. Oh, 5 years ago. It'll be 6 years tomorrow. And things have changed. We're in a different age. Things have changed. People have changed. And yet some bullshit stays the same.
Yeah.
You know.
So true.
But as I was saying,
And you interrupted us, so
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
as I said, since it's a free for all, who's next on the list?
I guess I'll let Kirby go. Kirby, give your introduction.
Hi, this is Kirby Lobro 3, otherwise known as TS Nintendo Gamer. And I want to say, I'm excited to be on this podcast, and I'm going to get the Game & Watch.
Really? I was going to get that. I was really looking forward to getting it, and then I realized that if I was going to get it, I wanted to get two, so then I could mod the heck out of the other one and add new games to it.
Oh.
But they wouldn't let me. So I was like, if I can't have two, so I could mod one in order to have different games on it, I'm just not going to get it. How's it going, Trusk?
Hey, so, I just saw the comment section in the general channel and BS Buster. There's the Discord server.
Yes.
Sony wanting to own anime. That's actually the biggest dick move.
Well, to be fair, Sony is a multimedia empire worldwide. Like, the game aspect of Sony is only about 20-25% of what Sony does. The rest of it is involved with media.
And sure, Sony has their hands in pretty much every pot you can imagine.
So it actually kind of makes sense that they would actually want to have a bigger stake in anime. My only thing is, will they abandon anime like they did Japanese JRPG developers in gaming?
Yeah, that's weird.
They
seem
based
to
on the
separate.
censorship, I'm pretty sure they will. I mean, it's like they're actually spitting at Japan, like betraying it.
Well, they definitely betrayed JRPG developers. What were you going to say, Kenoshi?
I was gonna say they, some of the moves they've been making with PlayStation, because they seem to want to create a chasm between them and Japan and mostly focus on Western markets, it's surprising that they want to, own anime.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, but
Can't help but think about the dick moves that when they own Fox.
I mean, here's the thing that I've realized about Sony. Sony wants to be in a position where they hold on to the market mind share they already have. They got their foot in the door in Japan by basically cordoning off the JRPGs. Because in Japan, you're not going to win Japan unless you have JRPGs. Oh. That's just the way it is. And that's how basically they ate Nintendo's lunch in Japan. Because there were no JRPGs for the N64. And the RPGs...
Well, except for Paper Mario, of course.
Yeah, but Paper Mario isn't really a JRPG now, is it? I mean, even being charitable, I can't call that a JRPG. And I say this as a huge N64 fan. As far as 5th gen consoles go, I prefer the N64 over the PlayStation. But as a huge JRPG fan, I'm not going to lie and say it has a great amount of RPGs on it. And the RPGs that are on there, like, I've given all of them a chance.
Well, the only RPGs I would prefer are Pokemon and Super Mario RPG, which I have for the Wii Virtual Console.
Well, you're gonna be sorely disappointed if you have an N64, because, like, here's the thing: Paper Mario 64 is not a terrible game, but
none of your opinions really matter. It doesn't make me freak out.
It's not a terrible game. It's actually fairly decent. But if you compare it to some of the best JRPGs on the PlayStation, not even close.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not much of an RPG fan, but I do enjoy a game of Monster Rancher.
Yeah, Monster Rancher is pretty good.
I mean, I'm hoping that one day, when Koei will actually buy. So, it kind of makes me wonder if I was kind of hoping that a third-party developer would actually try and buy Sony.
Not happening.
No, they couldn't afford
Sony. First of all, they'd have to pay off Sony's massive mountain of debt, and good luck with that.
Really connected to China's paycheck, I think.
No, not really, because Sony owes a lot of money to the Bank of Japan.
Yeah.
They owe a lot of money to Japan.
Yeah, but they're going to lose their grip on the world very soon. I mean, they paid a lot more than they made when making the PlayStation 5.
Oh yeah, they're losing money on every PlayStation 5 sold. But I mean, to be fair, most except for Nintendo, I think most of the 9th gen consoles are losing money. And the only reason Nintendo's 9th gen console isn't losing money is because, I mean, they skimped on some of the hardware, like no D-pad. I think maybe they kind of rushed some of the production, which is why you have the whole Joy-Con drift thing going on.
Lost Joy-Con.
And the Tegra GPU was actually kind of old before.
Yeah, they're using really old ass tech.
When they first announced the Nintendo Switch.
The thing you have to realize about most consoles is that by the time a console comes out, the technology is at least 6 to 7 years old from being commercially cutting edge. Now, what I mean by commercially cutting edge is I mean by like being in devices where everyone could use it and it was affordable. Okay, so like when the Switch came out, 3 years ago at this point, 3.5 years ago, 4 years? Is it 4 years?
It's about to turn 4 this month.
Almost 4 years.
Okay, so almost 4 years. The Switch came out almost 4 years ago. You have to think that tech was at least 4 years old itself. So really, the Switch is using 8-year-old tech at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be cheaper for them to use that technology.
You know, Mr. Red Fox, can't help but think that you're a bit of a fickle person. I mean, sometimes you say things that I can actually agree on. Sometimes you say things that make no sense, and sometimes you say things that kind of confused me.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not like personally. I don't really care that Nintendo uses old technology. It's not how old the technology is; it's how you use it. Like I said, I don't personally care about old technology. Like
I'm starting to get a feeling that Microsoft is going to be doing a lot better sometime soon.
I mean, Microsoft isn't playing the console game anymore. Microsoft finally realized that they could spend all the money they wanted. Microsoft spent more money than Nintendo and Sony, I would say, combined for the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, and the Xbox One, and they have never dominated a single console gen, despite all the money they've spent.
However, I'm starting to get some articles that let me say that they're gonna be taking advantage of third parties. This guy, damn, why do I keep on stuttering?
Take a breath and try again.
Okay, I get the feeling that Xbox is gonna be getting more third-party support than PlayStation 5.
Of course they are. Because Microsoft can port PC-only games to the Xbox console, which is something Sony has kind of not been as on the ball about.
Yeah, in fact, Microsoft, for the first time in a while, the Xbox is going to be getting Japan support.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't hold much stock in that.
I was about to say, Xbox getting support from third parties in Japan.
I think you're going to see a lot more Sony games come to the PC just because of
the PC is a huge market.
Yeah, because Microsoft, they're seeing the kind of money that Microsoft is making.
And Sega. Because Sega's been porting old ass games to the PC,
big time,
and they're making good money on those games. Like I bought the Yakuza trilogy remastered trilogy, Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 remastered on the PC for like 30. Like on PC they're $40, which is a really good deal for those three games because they're really good. But I paid like 34 to like $32 for it, and like those are some of my favorite Yakuza games. I like Yakuza 1, I like Yakuza 2. Yakuza 3 I also like, but for me my favorite of the later Yakuza games is Yakuza 4 because that's the one that has multiple different playable characters. And I like that shit, but I like that shit. But anyway, as I was saying, I think that what you're going to see with gaming is, at least in regards to Microsoft, is I don't think Microsoft as a console manufacturer is ever going to really be big in Japan. Just because the Japanese are like, they're not into that. It's just not going to be a thing for them. I do think that you'll see more xCloud and digital stuff because places in Japan that have really good internet connections, people like, if people don't have to buy a console, they can just have a tablet with a controller or a laptop with an Xbox controller and just play their games like that. I think that's going to be the future of the Xbox in Japan, but it's still not going to be like, I don't think the Xbox is ever going to be big in Japan or China. I think that they might overtake Sony here in America. But don't quote me on that. That's just a supposition.
I was going to say, wishful?
I mean, I do think that Microsoft can overtake Sony in America because Microsoft has some really kind of Western studios in their pocket that people really love. Like, if they're able to buy Bethesda and they say, "Hey, you want to play the new Fallout game?" Like, if Microsoft gets Obsidian to split off some people to work on a Fallout New Vegas 2, and they say it's only going to be on our Xbox and PC, do you think people who are fans of that game and that franchise will buy an Xbox, or who already have a PC will buy that game published by Microsoft just so that they can play that game? Damn right they will. And if they say it's only on our PC or our system and you can't get it on the PlayStation, I mean, come on.
That I could get.
I mean, I think we can all agree that that's going to be it's going to be
It's gonna be a party to watch.
and I'm going to be okay with that. Because I'm not a huge fan of like.
Eva?
Well, the thing is that the industry is at its best when there isn't one console doing much better than any other console. When they're all pretty much balanced, it's good for everyone.
Yeah. What about the 6th generation?
I mean, Sony sold more PlayStations than anyone, but just because they sold more PlayStations, they weren't the most profitable.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is Xbox and GameCube were added.
You know, which just goes to prove that just because you have something that's really popular doesn't necessarily mean that it's making money.
I was about to say, popularity can only get you so far. I mean, if you know Splatoon, that probably would be so beeping true.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen. I personally do like okay, I would never buy a Microsoft console mostly because
I think I kind of know of the secret to Nintendo's success. Nintendo is actually more like to do to experiment more.
I mean, the same thing that makes Nintendo successful is the same thing that kind of kicks them in the ass sometimes. Nintendo, like Nintendo's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. Like Nintendo makes their games from the viewpoint of they come up with a gimmick and then they fit the game around that gimmick. Now, the problem with that is that there's some games that kind of need a strong narrative in order for them to work, and just fitting the game around a gimmick doesn't really work. Like Breath of the Wild, I know a lot of people love that game, but that game for me didn't really work because the game was built around the gimmick of that physics engine and gliding around, and
not around the basics of it, which would be exploration, storytelling, and
well, the problem with the exploration of Breath of the Wild is that the shit that everyone's like, this is so great, we've never had this in a Legend of Zelda game, which is true. We had never had that style of gameplay in a Legend of Zelda game. But if you're a gamer and you had played other games over the years, the innovations, and I'm using air quotes here, the innovations introduced in Breath of the Wild are shit that had been in other games for over 12, 15 years. So it wasn't new to anyone who had been playing other shit. So it was like, I'm offended by this.
And remember, there's some people that are not fans of 3D Legend of Zelda.
Well, I mean, I like both of them. I like 2D and 3D Legend of Zelda. So I'm not really against the 3D whatever. For me, it was just...
And this is from somebody that isn't into 3D Legend of Zelda, but I could actually say that I have admired that the 3D Legend of Zeldas have evolved, though it kind of bugs me that people are throwing confetti out when it's through the Legend of Zelda.
Well, the thing is, they're adding things that had been... The thing is, Breath of the Wild adds quote-unquote innovations that aren't really innovations. Like, they're innovative to Legend of Zelda, but they aren't really innovative or really interesting innovations. Like, oh, your weapons can break while you're fighting. That's not a really good... that's not something that I really like in games.
I was about to say, your mileage may vary because of that.
Unless you can repair them. If you can repair them, then I'm not really bothered. But if you can't repair shit while you're fighting, I'm kind of like, I'm not feeling it.
Not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it.
I'm sorry, we both felt that at the same time.
I'm not feeling it. It hurts my feelings. But yeah,
Yeah.
so and look, listen, the people who enjoy Breath of the Wild, knock yourself out. I played it. I beat it 3 times. Well, actually, no, 4 times. I beat it once, maxing out my hearts. I beat it a second time, maxing out my stamina. I beat it a third time. Basically,
in between.
well, I did as soon as you get off the plateau and go into Hyrule Castle, and not
Oh, you
beating
did
any of
one
the
of those-
Zelda Megazords. The Zelda
You
Megazords.
did You did the speed run.
And I did a Master Quest version where you basically, the enemies are all way tougher. And I can tell you right now, that game is, there's some aspects of that game that are just not really, they don't coalesce into a cohesive whole. Let me put it that way. And I'll leave it at that. But we were talking about GameStop. GameStop's core gameplay is just kind of gonna just fall apart. Their business model is trash. It's not gonna get any better.
At the foundation level, they need a real repair job.
Basically, the best case scenario for GameStop to fix themselves is if someone came in and gave them a massive cash infusion, and a new CEO came and said, "Here's our 5-year plan," and they stuck to it. But that shit ain't happening. So, what's probably going to happen to GameStop within the next 2 to 5 years is that they're probably going to either be bought out by Microsoft and turned into xCloud stores, which is their best case scenario right now, or because Microsoft is closing all of their hardware stores for buying Microsoft phones and games and consoles and shit like that. So that's my own personal opinion. I could be wrong. I know some people are going to be like, "How dare you?" But I mean, come on.
Your mileage may vary.
Let's use logic here. But yeah, GameStop as we know it is just kind of like. I don't think GameStop as we know it is going to survive. I think within the next 2 to 5 years it will be gone. And the way I feel about it is good riddance, bad rubbish, because GameStop hasn't been good ever. Like, I've never had a good experience at a GameStop. Okay, I've had great experiences at KB's toy stores, Babbage's, Electronics Boutique.
Isn't that what
I
EB
remember
was?
Yeah, I've had great experiences at my local mom and pop game store, which I still, even now, like sometimes I'll go in there and I'll just buy a retro game or a new game from them physical because I want to support the company. But as far as GameStop goes, fuck them. That's how I feel.
So guys, question.
Go ahead.
Have you guys seen a GameStop fanboy on YouTube? That's
I've
going down
seen
the
a
end.
few GameStop fanboys.
That's a little surprising.
But then
Yeah.
most of the GameStop fanboys I've seen also work at GameStop, so
Oh yeah, I've seen GameStop fanboys. Like, yeah, why are people complaining about the money? They have to, they can't just they just can't pay out, like 50% of what you paid it for. They have to make money somewhere.
That's
people
not
like that.
that's not what bothers me about GameStop. What bothers me about GameStop is how they fuck over their employees.
Oh yeah.
Like here's the thing, okay? If your margins are so thin that you have to fuck over your employees, you don't need
There's
to
a
be in
problem with
business.
your system.
I mean, because here's the thing, okay? My businesses are all in the DC metropolitan area, okay? I'm going to use myself as an example because I can't talk about other people's business models. I talk about my own, okay? I can't,
Fucking ads.
I can't go to my employees and be like, okay, like, the average wage for a waiter or any type of wait staff or kitchen staff, or even bar tending, is between, for a new person who's still in training, you're looking between, on the lower end of the spectrum, $12,
Oh my god.
and that's nothing. In DC, that's nothing. Like if someone's paying you
Oh my god. Take a
70.
look at this. Listen to this. Hold on, guys. Listen to this. I'm reading a tweet here and it says a new Indiana Jones game with an original story is in development from our studio, Machine Games. I'll be executive produced by Todd Howard in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games.
Yeah, we talked about that in the podcast like 4 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said I was really excited about it until I found out that it was going to have microtransactions in it.
Oh.
Let's hope that the microtransactions are at least good.
You know, I was like, here's the thing. After Star Wars Battlefront 2, I kind of am like, I don't want to play a Star Wars. I don't want to play a Lucas Arts based IP.
Let's hope it's not. I want massive multiplayer online and craft games.
Well, here's my issue with here's my problem with the concept of
MMO.
No, here's my problem with the concept of microtransactions. Because the last time Todd Howard was in charge of a project that had microtransactions, we got Fallout 76. And his brainchild at Bethesda is the Creation Club store, which is basically where they charge you, between $1 to $50 for DLC that you can get for free off of Nexus Mod or other places for free. I know there's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but that movie sucks, so let's pretend it doesn't exist.
I was about to say, there's other things that some of us don't want to acknowledge.
That movie was terrible. The movie was terrible for 3 primary reasons, in my opinion. First of all, they tried to make Mutt Shepard into the next Indiana Jones, like the successor to the mantle. And no, fuck that guy. Number 2, even back then, Harrison Ford was too goddamn old to be playing Indiana Jones. And number 3, that story, the script was just a mess. It really needed 2 or 3 more passes. Really,
it needed more eyes on it.
Really, if I had my druthers, here's what I would do if I had my druthers for an Indiana Jones video game. I would basically, if I could do whatever I wanted to and there were no rights issues, I would do Indiana Jones. I would do a sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I would have it start with old Indiana Jones in like the 1990s, talking to a group of archaeological students and telling them about like his adventures and stuff, but none of them believe him. And it would basically you would look at things in his office, like, because apparently it is like his last day.
You'd probably be seeing some of his historic adventure pieces,
yeah,
right?
and that would be the levels. Like, it's like, well, I remember when I found this dagger of Atlantis, and it would go to that would be the level. It would be like a hub level where you like go and do stuff considering how to get the dagger of Atlantis, and that would be the game. And at the end of the game, you beat the game, and Indiana Jones is retiring, and he gets his hat, and he gets his little suitcase and his whip and everything, and his diary, and he walks out, and who picks him up? An older version of Short Round, like a grown version of Short Round, his real adopted son, and not that bastard Mutt Shepard. And he says, "Yeah, you're gonna take us home." He's like, "But before we do, we gotta stop by Betty's house. We're going on a date." And you can have Short Round turn around and look at him. He's like, "Yeah, no time for love, Dr. Jones." Because that would be cool, but we're not going to get that. We're going to get some bullshit from the mind of Todd Howard, who is kind of a joke.
Todd Howard, oh God, that name.
Yeah, Todd Howard is a joke. He is a creatively bankrupt individual.
No
yeah, I said it. Yes, Todd Howard is creatively bankrupt. I haven't played a Todd Howard video game that I've enjoyed in years.
I would, and that would include the series that he's currently running into the ground. I think.
What,
Fallout?
Fallout?
He's creatively bankrupt, but somehow he still prints money.
He prints money because he dumbs down games and makes them easier for people who don't want to put the time in to learn how to play games. Because, like, here's the thing. Back in the day, when you played a game and you were unfamiliar with the genre, there was a certain learning curve where you had to learn how to play the fucking game. That's how it was. You didn't sit there and say this game is stupid. You put in the time and you got good at playing the damn game.
In short, it's called learning.
You know, games now are all about streamlining and making it easier for people who don't want to put the time in to learn how to play the damn game, to learn how to play the damn game. All right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, I mean, there is something to be said for not having that frustration period in learning how to play a game. Okay? There are certain games, where that kind of gets prohibitive, where a game is so involved that it's almost like a second job to learn how to play that damn game. And I don't think games should be like that either. I don't, but I also don't think it's I also don't think that it is acceptable for. I don't think you should streamline a game to the point where its core essence of what it is doesn't exist anymore. I mean, then you start getting stuff like Skyrim and Fallout 4 and to a certain extent Breath of the Wild.
Which I have to look at you on that one.
Still felt like Zelda to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Starting to get a feeling that some people may end up selling their PS5 consoles back.
I mean, that's your opinion. You're allowed to have it. It didn't feel like a Legend of Zelda game to me, mostly because there weren't really any dungeons.
Let me change the subject, okay?
Okay.
I got the feeling that some people may end up selling their PS5 consoles back.
No one's going to sell their PS5s back.
It's just a guess.
I don't think anyone's going to do that.
You be losing a little bit of money there, buddy.
No one's going to sell their PS5s back. Look, as long as Sony can come out with games that people want to play on their system, and plus they have the backwards compatibility, no one's gonna sell their shit back.
Well, that's if they that's if they don't screw up. That's if they don't fuck up.
I don't even think they're gonna do that.
But last time I heard Sony has been losing the sense of Japanese culture.
Yeah, but Sony hasn't been a Japanese company since
PS2?
Since the end of the PS2. Like the last 3 years of the PS2 where it was a viable commercial console, they haven't been a Japanese company.
Well, Xbox on the other hand, and I think they're just getting started with getting in touch with Japanese culture. I mean, Namco is to be releasing in Scarlet Nexus sometime soon. Namco Limited,
Yeah, I don't see that being a thing. I don't see the thing about Microsoft is that Microsoft doesn't really care about their console division. The Xbox Series X is essentially just a how can I put this nicely? It's a drone in order to trick you into using xCloud and Xbox Game Pass. That's what it's there for. They want to. Microsoft wants to sell you.
Even if I did get it, I'm not going to be interested in using that shit.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty good deal.
Deal?
Yeah. You pay $10 to $15 a month, and you get access to hundreds of games. A good third of them are AAA. The rest are high quality
Indie and
double
so
A.
on.
Well, you have the full gamut. You have a third of it is AAA. The rest of it are double A,
Yeah,
single A, and
Sony.
indies.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, here's the thing, okay? If
Variety.
if you don't like, okay, the argument that Google tried to make with Stadia, the argument,
Sorry. What was that?
the argument,
It's a popular thing.
it's like, hey, have you ever wanted to play AAA games but you didn't want to buy a console? Well, hey, just pay us $120 plus $10 every month after your free period runs down. Plus, you got to buy the games at full price. It's like by the time you do all of that, you've spent just as much to get a new console. But or you could pay $10-15 a month and have access and use any controller you want and get access to literally hundreds of games for $10-15, and you're using the power of the cloud to play a lot of them. I mean, Microsoft literally did what Google couldn't. They pulled a Sega on Google's Nintendo.
A Sega.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
I mean, it's kind of
That
embarrassing,
was a painful punch.
but it's true.
I'm not gonna lie. It's painful, but it's true.
I mean, when you mess up like that, you got to be honest. You can't lie because you can't hide what you don't like.
I was thinking that you would at least sugarcoat it.
That's the problem people always make, is that they always want to, because it's something that they have a vested interest in, they practice cognitive dissonance where they lie to themselves in order to make themselves feel better. Well, I can't lie. You shouldn't do that because you divorce yourself from reality. And the fact of the matter is that, I mean, even though I can't really use XPass, it doesn't really work on my PC, and I don't really want to have Microsoft have access to my information like that. Like, I don't want to log into to Windows and Microsoft's ID system and all that type of stuff. But if you just want to play games and you don't want to buy a console, Game Pass is a wonderful deal. Because you can use a laptop, you can use a desktop, you can use a tablet, anything that you can basically sync with a Bluetooth controller, you can use Game Pass with. That is a really good deal.
Especially if you get the right kind of controller.
Well, any type of Bluetooth controller. So, an Xbox 4 controller, an Xbox One controller, an Xbox 5 controller, an Xbox X controller, a PS4, a PS5 controller, what's the other controller? Shit. Not a PS3 controller. A PS3 controller has Bluetooth as well. Any Bluetooth controller that you can sync with your PC, you can use with that. That is a really good deal. Whether you like it or not, that is a good deal. And so, while, like I said, I don't like Microsoft's console, but that's a good deal. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I don't like you, so I'm going to lie about what I don't like. No, I'm going to be honest. That is a really good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't like something, I'm going to complain and get all salty about it. No, keep it real. That's a damn good deal. So, but no, I mean, I think that what I think is going to happen is I think Microsoft is going to, I think they're going to make a really good, I think Microsoft is playing a completely different game than Sony. Sony is still trying to get that console. They're going to crow about console sales and all that stuff. They're losing money on every console sold. So,
Take that as you will.
well, that's not a good thing. That's what happened to Microsoft with the Xbox One. Is that basically every Xbox One they sold, they were losing money. Not only were they losing money, but they had to give a cut of that money to the Blu-ray consortium that owns the IP rights and on the Blu-ray. So they basically had to give a portion of their money for every Xbox sold to Microsoft. And that's why you don't license out technology that you don't own.
Oof.
But
Yeah.
Sony is.
You mean Sony? Wait,
No, that's what Microsoft did
Oh yeah.
with the original Xbox. It's the reason why. Why do you think that even though Nintendo holds the IP rights on the best D-pad in gaming, that other companies don't use it? Because they don't want to pay Nintendo money to use that D-pad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They had to basically invent their own.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like their D-pads sometimes work.
I mean, look, listen. The Xbox One, Xbox 5 D-pad is decent, but really the best D-pad I've ever had was the SNES D-pad. That was a great D-pad. And really, not even Nintendo makes great D-pads anymore. Because the Pro Controller D-pad kind of sucks. Comparatively speaking, it's a decent D-pad, but compared to what Nintendo's D-pads used to be, not great.
What about the Nintendo 64's D-pad? I think
that D-pad kind of sucked. That D-pad kind of sucked too.
They stopped making D-pads.
It was very stiff. But the thing is that the N64 controller was trying to be a controller for multiple different playstyles.
Yeah.
It had to be a controller for people who were left-handed. It had to be a controller for people who were right-handed. It had to be used for first-person shooters, platformers, 3D and 2D, fighting games. Like it basically was an omni controller. But here's the thing about the N64 controller. Even though people like to talk shit about that controller, try and play an N64 game without an N64 controller. It does not feel right. You don't believe me? Go and try and play Star Fox 64 on the Wii Virtual Console without an N64 controller. It doesn't even feel right.
I already got that feeling, thank you, since I was trying to play it with the 3DS. It's a little bit trickier than it looks.
It's like I can't play this.
Well, the 3DS. I mean, the 2DS had a good D-pad, I felt.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about consoles, not handhelds. Because handhelds by necessity need to have good controls, or what's the use?
Yeah. Anyways, I have to go now.
All right, peace.
Bye.
Later.
Take care.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. You want to say something, Kanushi?
Oh, I just said it later. But yeah, the whole licensing out. Yeah, they did it with they also did it with the Xbox One with Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said earlier. Like every console they sold, they had to give a cut of that money to the Blu-ray consortium, which meant some of that money was going to Sony. Why would you sell a product where you have to give a portion of your money to your competitor for every product you sell? That's just stupid.
Well,
That's bad business.
Apple, various phone companies do that with their technology. Like, I think Apple uses Samsung screens, or at least they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of a common thing. And most of the side tangent, but most of the phone manufacturers don't make money off their phones. They make money off of their
apps.
apps and their tech that they develop.
I mean, I'm going to keep it real. It's fine if you're not directly competing with the company that you're giving money to. But if you're directly competing with the company that you're getting weaker, they're getting stronger with every unit you sell. And that's just not that's not smart. That's just bad business. Um, and that's where I gotta kind of be like, man, these people were like, yeah, talk mad shit about they talk mad shit about stuff, and I'm like, look, the fact of the matter is that I mean, you know, that why do you think the Wii U, even though the Wii and the Wii U use the same technology, like, because you can both mod a Wii and a Wii U to play DVDs, sorry, HD DVDs. You can mod them to do that. But Nintendo used a different format because they weren't giving Sony any fucking money. Because they're cheap.
Yeah.
They're like, I ain't giving you shit.
It's a way of playing around others.
They're like, look, I ain't giving you shit.
The people don't want to pay for the D-pad, and some people do not want to pay for DVD.
Yeah. But, I mean, the thing is like, I mean, knowing what we know now about how more and more people are moving away from physical media for, like, movies and shit, because, like, okay, I can go to Walmart or Target or wherever, or go on Amazon and buy a Blu-ray for $10 to $20, or I can spend, like, $30 and buy 3 streaming services and have access to more movies in HD and higher than I could ever fit in my fucking DVD shelves, media shelves, and watch all the shit I want. Have more shit than I could ever watch for $30. I mean, the choice is clear for people who want convenience, and that's what a lot of people are doing. So, I mean, I don't see the point of having a console that plays DVDs if you have streaming. Now, that's the caveat. If you have streaming. If you have access to Hulu, YouTube, Netflix, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, like, what do you need with all that other shit? But that's my own personal opinion. I could be wrong. Probably am wrong. So anyone have any other bullshit things they want to bring up? We talked about GameStop. Anything else? Anyone's like, man, that's some bullshit. And I wish someone would draw some attention to this bullshit ass thing, but no one ever talks about it.
Scalpers.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I hate those people.
The one thing I think all 3 of us could fully agree on without any hesitation. These guys, that I would call early bird sharks.
Yeah, I hate scalpers. Because basically they just make it harder for people who did things the right way to play games. And that is not cool. You know? Oh, you want this? Well, it's going to be hard for you to get it.
Yeah, like the consoles and the graphics cards, just out of control right now.
Well, anything that people want, there's always going to be scalpers for.
Yeah.
I think we can always agree on that. You know, oh, you want this? Oh, it's going to be hard to get it.
Before Nvidia or AMD announces the super versions of their GPUs, like the 2080 Ti or the 3080 Ti or the 3070 Ti.
But that's anything. I mean, AMD stuff, I'm sure when Intel comes out with their shit, it's going to be the same way. I mean, anything that people want, people are going to buy it so they can sell it for a higher price later on. We have a joke.
I'm trying to say is they should try to figure out how to get more 3070s and 3080s out there before they announce a new super card. It's like...
I mean, the thing is that scalpers are always are. If you wait long enough, scalpers are going to shoot themselves in the ass because what happens is within 3 to 4 months, someone else is going to release something that's going to be the hot thing, and the old stuff, the price is going to drop on the old stuff that they're holding on to. And you just wait. You wait them out. They eventually are going to have to sell the stuff on either break even or at a loss.
I would say that usually it's a loss because some of them do not sell fast enough.
Well, I mean, no, they a lot of times they break even or they make a slight profit. So, like, if you're buying, if they bought, because like these people aren't wholesalers, they aren't buying these consoles or cards at a discount like a wholesale retailer would be able to. Like a wholesale retailer is buying things by the pallet, so they're paying slightly less because they're buying them in bulk. These people who are scalpers, they might get 35 PS5s, but they're paying however much, what, $5.99 for $4.99 for $4.99 a piece, right? That's not so even if they sell them at $5.30, right? They still made a profit. They made what they spent, but it's a very small profit, which is why it pays to just wait them out because the price is going to go down. Because Sony's going to release a revision or they're going to release a bundle that's going to include a game and be, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So really for scalpers, the best thing you can do is just wait. It's like, do you really have to have this now? That's the thing I always tell people. Do you have to have it now? Can you wait? Is this something that is time sensitive? Because very few things are actually time sensitive. Very few things are like, I got to have this shit right now. Really? Do you? For real? So.
I guess if you're rocking a 1060 and you have extra money for a new graphics card, so you're like, well, I'll spend the money on a 6800 XT or 3080. And
yeah, but can we keep it real? If you have a 1060 and you want to upgrade to one of the newer graphics card, first of all, even if your motherboard and your PSU could support one of the bigger, more beefier graphics cards, you just do better just getting a. I mean, really, okay. I'll keep it real. You would do better getting a pre-built PC if you're upgrading from a lower like a 1080 or 1060 than buying a new graphics card. Because can your motherboard really even support all the stuff you need in order to make that graphics card really work? If it's got a 1060, 1080. It's like this, right? At a certain point, my motherboard, like I could maybe support a 6700 XT on my motherboard, but anything beyond that, I would have to get a new motherboard and everything else. So at a certain point, you can only upgrade something so much. Like at a certain point, you just gotta start from scratch and start anew.
Yeah.
That's where people kind of like, well, yeah, this needs to go like this. Like, well, at a certain point, it's just you can only take something so far at a certain point, And like I said, with scalpers, wait their asses out. Wait them out. Let them lose money. Because they're panicking. They want this shit to sell so they can make something back.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be kind of nice to see these people lose all that money.
I mean, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far. I don't like. Here's the thing.
He's a businessman, so we gotta give him some leniency there.
I mean, the thing is this. Okay, there are people who do. There are people who like their gig is that they buy stuff, and then they buy hot stuff and then they sell it. And when I say hot, I don't mean like illegal. I mean hot as in like they'll buy something and they're like, look, like they'll buy a reissue of Furbies, right? That might be hot for like a month or two. And they resell them, and that's how they make a little bit of extra cash. And, look, listen, I'm not going to knock someone's hustle. the reason we're mad about PS5 and well, some people are mad about PS5 and all that other shit. It's because they want it. It's something that they want, so it's an issue. But if it wasn't something you wanted, you'd be like, I don't give a shit. Just wait. You don't need to have it now. There's absolutely nothing that you need to have now, is what I'm saying. Even if you want it.
Especially when it comes to the PS5, it's like there's nothing to play right now.
I mean,
you're
even
really gonna play Demon's Souls, a game you didn't care about when it came out 10 years ago?
Even with the new graphics cards, like everyone's like, I need to have it now. Let me let you know a little secret, okay? By next year, NVIDIA and AMD are going to come out with revisions for these graphics cards, which means the shit that's really expensive now is going to drop in price. So if you wait a year and game on whatever the fuck you got right now, you'll be able to get the hot shit from right now, next year, cheaper than it is right now. In some cases, way cheaper. So if you just wait, you'll spend less money. Like, there's absolutely nothing you need to have right now.
That's true.
So
true.
I mean, and if you have a decent, let's keep it real. And if you have a decent monitor, that shit's getting upscaled anyway. We have a joke.
Comments?
Couple of joke comments from EA Man 2020. How dare you trash EA? EA is the best. I wish EA would make a console. I don't. If EA made a console, they would charge you a microtransaction fee every time you pressed a button on the controller. It'd be like a penny per button press. So like you play the game for an hour. Let's say it's like a game that requires a lot of button input and stuff, a lot of button inputs and stuff, and you get a bill at the end of the week saying, "Oh, you owe us $256.39." You're like, what the fuck? No, man, it's we charge you a penny per button press. You played this game a lot. At least that's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But anyone else have any other bullshit they want to share before we move on to the asshole of the week? It's back, baby.
So far, I'm thinking that we covered at least most of it. So if anything, we probably need to figure out who's the rear end of this week. So how about we get that over with?
Well, I got something to say. Some shit that I'm tired of. I'm tired of vegans, or not vegans, ultra healthy people who talk about bone broth. Bone broth, you bone broth motherfuckers. Let me tell you something, okay? As someone who has cooked a lot of food and made a lot of broth and stock, every broth on planet Earth is a bone broth. There is nothing special about bone broth, okay? All right, you want to know how broth is made? If you want it the quick and dirty, if you're in a kitchen, let's say they had roasted chicken for lunch, like they made chicken soup with roasted chicken. Okay, they take the carcass off that roasted chicken and whatever meat's left on the bone, and they put it in a pressure cooker. They add some diced up, maybe some carrots that you wouldn't put in a salad, but still good, but it doesn't look great. They put that in there with maybe a Garnier Boutique, which is
garnish or something.
A Garnier Boutique is where they take herbs and shit and they tie it up into a little like a little bunch, and they put it in there so they don't have to fish out individual pieces of the herbs, right? And they'll throw it in there, and then they'll put maybe some onions that don't look too good, maybe some cloves of garlic, maybe some peppercorns. And some people, they don't add any salt, but when I do a stock, I'll add a good, not a lot, but some salt, and a little bit of soy sauce, and then they'll put some water in there and put it in a pressure cooker. They'll boil it for 30 minutes, and then they'll take it off the pressure. They'll let the pressure cooker. They'll take the pressure off the pressure cooker. They'll strain it and then put it in the refrigerator, cool it down. Then they'll put it in ice trays and put it in the refrigerator, and boom, you have stock. But you notice that in that ingredient list, they put the whole chicken carcass in there, which includes the bones. Every broth has bones in it. Okay?
And thus, bone broth is used by vegans that are to be evading meat.
Not really, no. Vegans use vegetable stock, which is literally just
Veggies.
But yeah, bone broth is bullshit. That's what I'm saying. And cause I went to the store recently because I had to go get some stuff for my household because I was like, man, I'm out of almond milk. Yeah, I'm one of those. But I don't drink normal almond milk. I drink almond milk that's been mixed with banana puree, so it tastes like the best banana milk you've ever had. And I love banana milk. But anyway, and I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't drink normal banana milk. But this almond banana milk is delicious. But anyway, don't get me started. Nut milk sounds like a perverted thing that you'd see in a weird porno. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so yeah, I was going and I was buying some other stuff, and I went by the stock section because I was out of the homemade broth that I make at my house because I used it all over Christmas and New Year's making holiday dishes and stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to buy some because, it's always good to have stock and broth in your house for, soups and other types of dishes. And I saw they had like the store brand, which was like $1.18 per carton. They had the name brand, which was like $1.50, $1.60. And then they had bone broth, organic, like the ultra bourgeois brand, where it's organic and they add organic apple cider vinegar, kombucha vinegar to it at the end of to finish it. This shit was $5 a carton. $5 a carton. I was like, and people actually pay for this? And to me, that let me know that bone broth is bullshit. So, I'm just letting you know. Bone broth, if you ever listen to someone say, oh, I only use bone broth, every broth
uses bone broth.
Is bone broth. Because most broths are also stocks, so, and a stock uses the bones. So, most broths are also a stock as well. So, yeah, it's just kind of like one of those things where I'm just like, okay, you clearly you're saying some shit. Really, that's what you're doing. You're clearly just saying some shit because so yeah, that was my bone broth is bullshit. Anything else someone wants to add that they feel is just absolute bullshit?
What? I think we got most of them covered. Though, I think one thing that's probably BS. Some games that do not have that only introduce a mechanic once and never use it ever again.
A one and done gameplay mechanic that they just kind of throw away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good game design. They just add something and throw it away. It's like, come on, man, don't leave me hanging. I guess I can get to my asshole of the week. Make this real quick. My asshole of the week. I know some people may disagree with me, but my asshole of the week in gaming is GameStop.
I'm surprised you said that.
But not specifically GameStop. It's the people that are acting like propping up GameStop is sticking it to the man. I'm like, you do realize that GameStop is a trash ass company, right? Like, if you prop up a trash ass company, you're just helping perpetuate the trash. Like, you're not making it better.
I think some people I think there are a segment of people out there that aren't taking it seriously. They have enough money to blow on this.
They're like, we're sticking it to the man. No, for the people who are doing it to get paid. Like, if you bought GameStop stock at $15 and you sold it at like $300, get paid, get your cheddar. But the people were like, yeah, we're sticking it to the man. These corrupt business elites. You do realize that GameStop is part of the corrupt business elites, right?
Yeah.
Right? GameStop is a foul ass company, right?
I was about to say it's fun to watch them flail, since they're a sinking ship.
But yeah,
I just wish that the ship wasn't made of gold.
No, I mean a ship made of gold would sink, so that's actually very much appropriate. Because gold is a very dense metal. It's very heavy. It doesn't float.
Ironically enough, the gold is very dense, but it's also, I believe, pretty soft too.
Yes, it is. If you had a sword made out of solid gold, it would be completely useless. I mean, you might be able to bludgeon someone to death with it. That's about it. You couldn't parry or dodge or parry or block anything with it. It'd be like, this armor is made of gold. Why? It's so useless. But yeah, like I said, GameStop, trash ass company. And the people who are like, yeah, we're sticking it to the man. We're going to fix these people. GameStop is a trash ass company. You're propping up this trash ass company. Why? Why are you bragging about that? And they haven't gotten better either. Like, I've said this before. The type of stuff that GameStop would have to do in order to fix themselves, it would take years. They should have been making these changes 4 or 5 years ago in order to be in a position where they're not about to go out of business now. So I'm laughing when people say that. They're like, yeah, GameStop. I'm like, come on, man. GameStop is trash.
Yeah, they're all gonna be crying. They're all gonna be crying when GameStop announces their quarterly earnings. They're gonna be like, "Oh no, my stocks are gone."
Well, I mean, if you bought it at 15 and you sell it like 2 days before, you still make it like a fat rat. Like, really, what people don't understand about stocks is that if you bought a stock at $15 and it went up to $22 and you sold it, you still made your money back. You still covered. You still made a profit.
If it's up, if you're still, making a decent price, I would sell the day before they have their earnings report.
I would do 2 days because sometimes earnings leak, and then it starts tumbling. So you don't do the day before. You do 2-3 days, then you sell just to make sure you get your money. But look, like I said, if you bought at 15 and it's at 338 right now, and you sell now, you still made out like a fat rat. I mean, I'm kind of kicking. Like, literally, when GameStop stock was under $10, I was like, man, I should buy some of that stock. It's cheap. I should buy like 100 shares right now. But I was like, nah. I'll hold on. I'll wait. Damn it. I'm kicking myself for not taking that plunge. But anyway, hindsight is 20/20. So any other asshole of the weeks you guys want to bring up? Nothing. No one has any other asshole of the week you guys want to nominate for asshole of the week?
I'm iffy about this one, but I'm gonna give this to some of the D&D community for starting to go on their roll and bashing one of their own for a meme, since it's about modernization. Since the meme was about modernization of D&D is kind of woke. I mean, it's broke, while the classic one is woke.
I mean,
as in the modern. I mean, the more moderate way that D&D is going is kind of bad, and go back to the way it was.
How can I put this?
I
don't think they go far enough. I don't think they've gone far enough with some of the changes they've been making. Like they did Tasha's Cauldron of everything, right? And that was supposed to really kind of change up how certain things were done. And literally, like, nothing cool was really added. They didn't do anything really interesting, or it was a lot of stuff that if you're a DM, you've already been doing. Like, if you have a cool story, just kind of go with that. It was like, yeah, but as a DM, I've already been doing this. Like, you're not radically changing how to create new and interesting characters. Because I guess they didn't want to piss off the old school fans, and they didn't want to alienate the new fans. And I'm like, look, make a stance and stick with it, you know. But that's my own personal opinion. I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'm saying that this is getting a little wild.
I mean, personally, I wish they had gone more woke. But that's my own personal opinion. Everyone can agree to disagree. But I mean, that's why I prefer homebrew campaigns, because you can actually, you know, change up. You can actually have interesting game worlds that aren't bound by the years and years of history that exist within, standard D&D. So, but hey, that's your nomination. Do you have a nomination for Asshole of the Week, Kenoshi?
Not really.
All right. So, let's see. We're almost to the end of the podcast. I have nothing else to add except, this was a fun cast. It was a lot more chill than we normally do, but I'm okay with that. I like a chill cast sometimes. It's nice.
Sure.
Yeah. Not every cast needs to be bombastic and spastic. On my part, because I'm the one really driving that energy a lot of times. So with that being said, that's the end of this cast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. Anything you guys want to pimp out?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, I'll ask one more thing before we wrap things up. What have you guys been playing?
For me, I've been trying to get back into some of my classics, and one of them would be trying to do the Mario series, starting with Super Mario Bros. 3.
Oh, that's a good game.
Yeah. Though I had to try to make it a challenge and, well, use as few items as possible. Or in this case, if you gain an item, use it only when you get it in that level, not when you gain it from any other events, unless it's absolutely needed.
So no caching items just so that you can use them later on, like a P wing, a P cloud, just to skip levels that you don't feel like playing through. It's like, man, fuck this level. I hate this level.
Yeah, the only exception would be the flute.
I love the flute. It's great.
And if anything, I actually use it right after I finish the desert land.
Yeah, I like the flute because it just lets you just skip entire levels. It's like I don't like this level. I'm skipping it.
Yeah. Though, if anything, the hard part is trying to get to Bowser without triggering those beeping hands.
Yeah, but some of those levels are actually kind of fun because you get an item at the end that can help you out, which is always useful.
Yeah, but remember the challenge I put myself in.
Yeah, but you still have it just in case.
Yeah, it's trying to not use them unless you absolutely have to.
Even though Bowser's level is kind of, I mean,
Bowser himself is not a problem.
No, he's kind of a joke, really.
It's whoever is his design, his design. The core decorator is the real boss.
Yeah.
Though makes me wonder who the heck is the core designer in some of these games.
Well, looking at Bowser's Castle in Super Mario Brothers 3, considering how similar in level design it is to Wario's Castle in Super Mario Land 2, six golden coins, I would say they might be the same designer. Because both levels have like different pathways to get to the same boss, and there's one slightly easier than the other. Because they basically want to give people who aren't that good at the game a way to get to the end, and people that want a bigger challenge to get there too. Nintendo with their 2D games, especially Mario, should be like, if you want to be a game designer, I think everyone should be forced to play a Mario game because those games are really well designed.
I was gonna say usually their first levels are basic level design 101s.
I mean, generally, but just overall, the level design of a Mario game is very well. It's very well designed. Kenoshi, what you been playing, or what have you been playing?
I've been playing. Still making my way through Control. So that's the main game I've been playing lately.
All right.
It's a pretty good game.
I recently got back into Battle Brothers. When they added the new DLC, it's a tactical game where you go around with a group of mercenaries, completing quests, killing things, doing an overarching storyline, but it's not built around the overarching storyline. It's pretty good.
Of course.
Any game that lets me kind of veg out and level up a character and just kind of dick around a little bit, I'm okay with.
That's good to know, at least.
People keep on calling me. Anyway, that's the end of this podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace and good night.